Grenada National Folk Group, in collaboration with the Ministry of Tourism, Creative Economy and Culture, proudly presents Iconic Moves and Melodies.
Yes, man! Iconic Moves and Melodies!
A heartfelt tribute to the legendary Miss Shirley Robinson. Mark your calendar. Saturday, March 1st, 2025 at the Grenada Trade Center, starting at 5 p.m. Immerse yourself in an evening of vibrant folk songs, classical songs, Negro spirituals, patriotic songs, captivating poetry, and mesmerizing dance performances as we honor Miss Shirley Robinson, a true pioneer of Grenada's cultural heritage. You'll also get the chance to have a meet and greet with Miss Shirley Robinson. Tickets are just $50 for adults and $25 for children. Iconic Moves and Melodies, a celebration you don't want to miss. Join us Saturday, March 1st at the Grenada Trade Center. Let's honor the legacy, celebrate the culture, and make it.
Are you a progressive young leader, a proactive emerging executive, a rising professional? Then you need appropriate cover for your vehicle. Introducing the Pro Motor Plan from Beacon. Car insurance that includes free loss of use, windscreen cover up to $3,500, free special perils, free accident forgiveness. Get Beacon's Pro Motor Plan today. Don't procrastinate. Call Beacon today at 440-4447.
Good morning, clubbers, and of course, welcome to another edition of the Wake Up Club. Another fantastic Friday. Weekends ahead of us. Make sure you're planning to do something this weekend. You sometimes you just got to find the right thing to rejuvenate. Sometimes you just need to de-stress. It could be something as simple as going on the beach. Make sure that you have something planned. Listen, I am grateful for another day. I'm grateful for another opportunity to chat and have a conversation this morning, of course, with you as well, because we're always looking at your comments in the comment section of the program. I want to say what I'm grateful for. I am grateful for good health. I am grateful for family. I am grateful for opportunity. I'm grateful that I live in goodness, gracious Grenada. And, sometimes when I turn on the news and I see what's happening out there, sometimes I think we take for granted the good things that we have, the blessings that we have, we take for granted. So I am very, very grateful to be living in paradise. You know what I'm also grateful for? I'm also grateful for you. Listen, recently we've been nominated. I won't say nominate. Yeah, we've been nominated for a People's Choice Award through the Media Workers Association of Grenada for Best Talk Show. And, we're up against a lot of people who I think are fantastic people. But the fact that we're even nominated is a big thing for us. So I want to thank you. And if you get the opportunity, I'd like to encourage you to go out there and vote for us. The producer, Junior George, is going to put up the link. We'll appreciate your vote. But, I'm appreciative of this platform and the Ride Along Network for affording me this platform where we can chat about so many different things. As I said, I have been called and I've been asked, oh, you should take the program here and you should take the program there. But really, I just want the program to be about positivity. There's enough people talking politics. There's enough people talking nonsense out there. Those areas are full. Let's try to have a show that, speaks positivity, where we can learn things, where we can view our voices, where we can agree to disagree agreeably. So I am very happy for this platform. Listen, we have a fantastic show for you this morning. We're going to be talking with the Child Protection Authority, and we're going to be speaking with my friend, Adrian Harford Sr. Now, this topic is very, very personal to me because I was someone who suffered abuse as a child. So definitely, every time I'm out there and I'm hearing the news and you're hearing about some of the stuff that's happening in Grenada, it's really sad. And, the Child Protection Authority, they're doing so much. And, this morning I wanted to dedicate the program to really understanding the work of the Grenada Association and to see exactly the Child Protection Authority and for us to all have an idea of really how they function. Because you know us, we like to pass blame, we like to say this, we like to say that, because it's easy to talk when we're not in the frying pan dealing with the fire. So definitely I'm going to be chatting with Adrian Harford Sr. from the Child Protection Authority of Grenada, and we're going to be diving into the work, and I'll be asking some of those questions that you want asked. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be chatting about what we're going to be diving we'll be right back.
Looking for the ultimate island experience? Hop on the Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tour and explore Grenada like never before. Feel the tropical breeze, sip on authentic Caribbean rum punch, and cruise through Grenada's stunning scenery in our unique and fun tuk-tuks. It's the perfect blend of adventure and island flavor. Book your unforgettable tour now at ride.gd or call 473-422-1011. Don't just see Grenada, experience it with Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tours today.
Welcome back. And let me stop trying to play cute because I can't read nothing on the screen, old age. So I want to start this morning by saying a special good morning to Brenda S. McNeely Julian, Anastasia Walcott, Karen Archibald, Clara Clement. You clubbers, we love you. We appreciate you because, of course, I know you have options. And the fact that you're tuned in with us really means a lot to us. I want you to know that I am also grateful for you this morning and want to encourage you to really list the things that you are grateful for. Now, this segment is what irks Kirk. And, I might say it and I might want to take it back. I just find lately, when I'm having a conversation with people, I find being so guarded about what it is I want to say, because we're living in a world now where information is currency. And when you say something, people are going to go and say, well, oh gosh, Cook say this or say that. And I find myself being so guarded, I guess because I'm living in a social media world where from the time you say something, this one shares it and that one shares it, and information is currency. And I think what irks me is when I see people not growing, So for example, I get very disappointed when I switch on social media and I see people throwing words for others. And I'm thinking to myself that if after your entire life, after all your experiences, you're still looking to throw words for people, than meeting a person and speaking to them about your issues, sometimes I think that I want to shake people and say, listen, grow up. When you are coming down on somebody on social media, or you trying to belittle somebody on social media, really and truly, it says more about you than the person. Sometimes you just have to ignore things. You know how many people say things about me? All the time they're saying things about me. But what somebody says about you has nothing to do with you. It absolutely has nothing to do with you. Somebody could call you a jackass. They could call you this. They could call you that. That is them. It has nothing to do with you. But often I find we like to own the stupidness of others. We like to own what people say about us. Okay? So, this morning, I just want to encourage you to before you make that post, really think about what that post says about you. And I know we get vexed and sometimes people say things and we want to answer, but let me tell you something. Silence speaks louder than words. And in that moment of silence is when you get the clarity to really think about what matters. Okay? Does it really matter that you respond? Is responding going to change anything or just encourage more banter? I just want us all, when we sit today, to think, okay, I've been through this in my life, I've been through that in my life, I've been through this. I want us to really focus on growth and improvement and becoming a better version of ourselves. So that's what I am. I probably rambling this morning, but it kind of just irked me because I hate being disappointed. And I know I can't fix everybody and I can't cure everybody, but I just want to see people thriving and us get out of the nastiness of throwing words and belittling. Listen, the time you're taking to belittle or to beat back and all, you're supposed to be developing you. And social media and the internet is such a great tool for you to learn things and educate yourself and build your brand. So that's all I really have to talk about in What's Kirk segment. I just want us to evaluate, because listen, you could go on social media and just be vex whole day, but you don't have to own none of the nonsense. Okay, there's the nonsense out there and there's the positivity out there. And that's all I had to say this morning. We take a quick break, and when we come back, I'll be chatting with my very good friend, Adrian Harford Sr. from the Child Protection Authority of Grenada. We'll be right back. Hi guys, of course, clubbers, welcome back to the Wake Up Club. This morning, my guest is my very good friend, Adrian Harford Sr., and he represents the Grenada Child Protection Authority. Adrian, welcome to the Wake Up Club.
How are you doing? Welcome.
I'm good, man. It's a fantastic Friday in the Isle of Spice.
That is quite true. Quite true. Mount Parnassus is quite bright this morning as well.
Definitely Tempe. I seen it buzzing. I seen the buses passing up and down the road. I seen children from my vantage point waiting for buses. So things are happening. Now listen, before we even dive into the work of the Child Protection Authority of Grenada, I want to give you the opportunity to tell people who you are. Okay, where you're from. Who is Adrian Harford Sr.?
Let me start by saying this. Welcome to the Wake Up Club. As you see, it's my first time being on your program. So It's a privilege to be here, and I am to the listening public and the viewing public. I say good morning to you. And who is Adrian Harford Sr.? I come from humble beginnings in Springs, St. George, where I spent most of my life. My early life, I should say. And I spent time between there and a place called Dodma, Vincennes, St. David. So I grew up, as you say, humble beginnings. Went to G.W. Fletcher Memorial RC School. That's when it was a primary school. And at that point in time, you had standard 6 and standard 7. And the school also had girls at that time as well. Now it's a secondary school, so I attended there, even though I live within walking distance from a spring school, so St. George Government. But my mother had a lot of friends in Monjaloo, where Principal Anthony Park was the principal of G.W. Fletcher RC. So she found that discipline was needed as part of her structure in life. So I ventured into that academic institution. I then went to GBSS under the tutelage of the great Victor Ashby, and then I furthered my education in TAMCC and then online and other things. But who am I? I'm a person who loves music. I love the outdoors. I love drag racing. I like to hike. I like to hunt. I'm a family man. I'm married 9 years. Wow, July this year will make it 10 years since I'm married. I have a wonderful wife and a very loving son who met you this morning. Yes, he's now 5 years old. So I'm going to different stages in my life. My early career was in law enforcement. I spent 15 years in the Royal Grenada Police Force. Ventured inside and outside of Grenada. But I always believed in serving my country, and I always believe in giving back. And I promised to give back 30 years to the service of my country. So I've spent 15 years in the police force, and I have transitioned to the Child Protection Authority, and I have been here for 9+ years now. So that's where I am currently. I don't intend to leave. I intend to spend a lot of years serving my country. I believe guiding the youth, guiding the fabric of society, which is the family, is of utmost importance. And I think by doing that, we can ensure a bright future once it is done properly.
Okay, definitely. Now you represent the Child Protection Authority. What are the responsibilities of the Child Protection Authority here in Grenada? Well, we say
well, the main mandate of the authority is the care and protection of all children within the tri-island states of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. All right, and in protecting children, it covers a wide, vast area, in court, areas of investigation, follow-ups, adoption, having closed sessions with parents, solving issues on a wide scale. But the general mandate of the authority, according to the child protection laws of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, which is in the Child Protection Act of 2010, it speaks of the care and protection of children.
Okay, now listen, I got to ask you this, and you told me that I could have a candid conversation with you this morning, because I think it's a conversation that people want us to have. What protocols does the authority or your agency follow when you get the report of child abuse, when a report of child abuse is made?
How the investigation starts, as you see the protocol when a report is made. So let me start by saying how reports are made. All right, we get reports through walk-ins. We have a walk-in center at Bristol House, that's on Lucas Street, St. George. That's opposite the Bristol lawyer's office, and it's next to the resource center on Lucas Street. That's Lower Lucas Street. That's right before you reach Market Hill. All right. We have a walk-in center there where you can walk in and give reports. That's in St. George. We have a walk-in center in Guave as well, and we have a branch in the town of Grenville on Canal Road. So we have 3 general centers that you can walk into and give reports directly to child protection officers. All right. Other than that, you can call our duty line, which is 24 hours line. It's 5336990, where you can give a report as well. So you can walk in, you can give a report directly to us, or you can do it through the police or the social development or so forth. So once a report comes in, we have an intake officer with which all the information goes through. He or she will collate the information and send it to the department that it needs to go. And all departments have a manager or supervisor that heads it. And once it gets there, it is then processed and given to a child protection officer who will do the investigations, the follow-ups, and so forth, based on the report that is made.
How does that, this is important, how does that investigative process work? You've received the report, you've collated the information, and now it goes to the Child Protection Authority officer. I'm really keen on figuring this one out because we live in a very small society. How does that investigative process work?
Right. So once the officer gets the information, he or she will make the necessary contact based on the information they get. So they either would act alone based on what comes in, or we act in collaboration with other entities or partnering agencies, which will either be as far as the police force, Ministry of Social Development, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, as far as the foreign affairs based on what is taking place. So we work with different ministries, different NGOs. So our collaborative effort is far and wide. So based on the information that comes in, we will partner with other agencies, or we will start the investigation on our own. In doing the investigation, we will interview persons, we will visit schools, we will visit homes, we will visit the communities, churches, wherever we need to go, because the act gives us that, I don't like to use the word power, but that privilege to go into anywhere where an abuse is possibly taking place and to do an investigation. And based on our findings, we will then make a decision whether we remove, whether we put some structure in the home, or so forth. Because sometimes when we go in to do our initial investigation, we may see the need to remove right away and then do some remedial work. Right? Sometimes a child is in immediate danger, and we have to take that child from that place of danger into a place of safety. So in terms of the investigation, that will be done once the investigation is completed, where everybody's interviewed and a decision is made. Follow-ups are done. We have short-term follow-up, which is within a month. Medium will go from 3 months to 6 months, and long-term will go up to a year once it's feasible. And then we will review periodically, and if everything is better within that child's life and the family's life, we will then close that case with them being informed of that.
Okay, I've got to ask you this. What are some of because we're talking about child protection, we're talking about abuse, and abuse is not only sexual abuse or incest. What are some of the major forms of abuse that you have been observing here in Grenada?
Well, you mentioned the sexual part of it, and while that is it's a major cause for concern, you're quite right. We have other forms of abuse, and some stem back to our great grandparents' days, where something as simple as neglect, where they would leave a 3-year-old with a 4-year-old or a 6-year-old, and they go to party at night, and they would leave and go in the shop and spend hours and so forth. So we see a lot of that, a lot of neglect. We see a lot of medical abuse, where children are in need of medical attention, and parents are refusing to take their child to seek medical attention, whether it's in the hospital, whether it's a health center or a medical station. Sometimes they tend to want to whip up home remedies that they don't have any dosage familiarity with, and want to do everything at home, or sometimes they don't do anything at all, and that causes a problem. So we have the neglect, we have the medical issue, we have the financial abuse, which takes place a lot with some families. Now, I know we have families who are less fortunate than others, and some have more spending power than others. But as a parent, your responsibility is to make sure that your child or children have everything they need and some of their wants. The basic thing as food, shelter, clothing, access to education, access to healthcare. That's things that you should be able to provide for your family. All right, and so we get into those parts of those issues. Then we have the educational abuse, where they're not sending the children to school. So we have our laws, the education laws says that a child from 5 to 16 years of age should be actively involved in an educational program, a formal educational program. All right, and we have a lot of children who the parents keep them home from school to see after a baby while they go to work or while they go out of the house or even while they are at home. They find it is not necessary. Even in speaking to some of them and doing our investigations, some parents will tell you, well, I'm going to send them to school today, so I'll keep them home today or for the rest of the week. So we sometimes we have to go in and work with them and the school, and the school will say, look, well, send the child to school. We provide the breakfast, the lunch, and even a snack sometime to go home, right? Because that's why there are a lot of school feeding programs, especially in our primary schools, to help children who are less fortunate and so forth. But parents have that responsibility to say, look, I have some difficulties. Because truth and in fact, it happens. It happens. You have parents who sometimes they really can't afford. Life is already really tough for some of them. And they have their limitations. But some carelessly using that individual to parent their other children while they should be gaining an education at an institution. So we have those that sometimes flies under the radar a lot. You spoke about this morning about verbal stuff online and so forth. And we have a lot of bullying taking place in schools, and as you clearly see online as well. So that's a problem we have in Grenada, where verbal abuse from within the home and within the community structures take place quite a bit. All right, and so those various ones, sometimes people tend to not to look at them as serious as the sexual abuse. And I have to say, all forms of abuse are quite strong in terms of the need to cut them. We tend to over-evaluate one and leave the rest behind, but all of them are important to eradicate.
And Jack, you posed a really important question, because as a survivor of child sexual abuse myself, I know one of the biggest things with me was shame. Okay, so I've got to ask Jackie's question. She's asked us to speak on how privacy of the victim is being protected. Often it's alleged that the identity is leaked. How do we protect children, especially in a small society like this?
Well, what needs to be done, and this will take a holistic view. The child protection, once you join the child protection authority as a worker, you have to sign a confidentiality clause as part of your arrangement with the authority. But other than that, we have stakeholders that we work along with. So let me give you an example, I know Jackie wants to hear this, and that's what we try to make sure that our children are protected. So even when we go to the school, we do not wear uniforms or so forth. So we tend to go straight to the principal's office or so forth to have that child called by the principal to if we need to speak to that child one-on-one. If we have to go to the field or to the homes and so forth, we don't wear uniform. We tend to wear casual clothing and so forth just to protect that child's privacy when we're dealing with those things. In terms of our offices or so forth, if we have to interview children, we have various ways and methods that we use to keep the children's lives as private as possible. But as you say, Grenada is a very small place. A lot of people know a lot of people. And because of our dispensation to be fast or inquisitive at times, people may gather certain information just by seeing somebody over and over. I want to ask the public, please, even if you see something is taking place with reference to the confidentiality of a child, the child's privacy, please admonish that and do not just go and telling your friends and your family and you're making phone calls and so forth. It's something that we take very seriously, and because of that, we don't give out the locations of our residential care facilities where we would house children Even our vehicles are unmarked, what we use to transport children and so forth when necessary. So we try our best to keep the privacy of our children intact, and we're asking our stakeholders is the same, not to divulge information where it is not necessary, because we need to protect our children. So because when they come forward and say they were physically, sexually, verbally abused or neglected, we want them to be able to be firm in their dispensation, be feeling that, you know what, I have a sense of security, that I will not be shamed by anybody, or I will not be put under the microscope like if I'm doing something wrong by telling the truth. So we try our best within that dispensation, along with the prosecution department and so forth. If we have to go to court, to make sure our children are protected and safe, we clear the courtroom from other persons when we have in the matters with our children, just to make sure that
Okay.
they are
No,
protected.
no, and I've got to ask you this question. You know, we're dealing with the abuse, we're dealing with different forms of abuse, and you and I both know, and most of us here know that, you know, whatever abuse you suffer as a child, you take that into your adult life. I've got to ask the question, what sort of support services are offered to some of these children and their families involved?
That's a very good question. A very, very good
You
question.
have to address mental health.
Quite agree. And within the Child Protection Authority, we have a holistic approach in terms of dealing with trauma. First of all, we have constant training with reference to our child protection officers when they're interviewing and spending time with children. We try to, if we have to do an interview, we don't do a 3 and 4 interviews with this of that child by different entities. We often tell persons that it's the right of the authority to do that investigation and do that interview with that child. So we ask teachers, don't do interviews when once the child makes a claim, refer the matter to the Child Protection Authority. Because once a child or children have to be going over a story 2, 3, 4 times, that they are re-traumatized. So we ask, that's the first thing we ask. But within the authority, other than our training, we have in-house counselors that will do remedial work and therapeutic work with our children once they are able to come in, or sometimes we even go to the schools, or we organize to meet them various places where they can be protected and have a safe space to have that remedial work done with them in terms of the therapeutic interventions. And that will come in different forms, Kirk. It will come whether through play therapy, whether through group sessions, one-on-one sessions. Our persons are at master's level in terms of our counselors, so they are qualified. Even our managing director, Mistress Paul, Lenny's Paul, she is on the drive to make sure that everybody in the authority is trained and able to provide all those services on different levels to all our children. And when I say our children, I mean about all the children in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, but especially children that are involved
Now
in abuse.
you mentioned continuous training for the employees of the Child Protection Authority, which is very important. But what sort of resources are there out there for parents to learn about child protection or even get involved? What sort of resources are there for families?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. You actually took that thought process straight out of my brain. I was going to say that within the authority ourselves, we do outreach programs to PTAs, and so schools, churches, community organizations, any workplace that is willing to have us. We do PDAs for different places. If you listen to news or news during the day, you see we put on PSAs as well, to help persons know what is happening within the authority. Now, the Child Protection Authority presently is running a parenting program
to parents and persons within the community, um, to help them understand child protection, help them to be better parents, to put some structure so that the lives of themselves and their children can be improved. So we do that. We have a communications officer who Ms. Donella Hostin, who normally would spearhead a lot of these interactions with the public. So we want to do more, and I'm putting this out there. Any organization that would want Child Protection Authority to come in to have some discussion with them on child protection and safety of our children, we are obviously 100% behind that, and we are willing to at any point in time.
Okay, listen, we have to talk preventative. Okay, I just don't want us talking about, okay, this happens. What sort of preventative measures, what sort of preventative education is done by the Child Protection Authority? Now, you and I both attended the launch of the Little Mr. and Miss Grenada last weekend, and I love the fact that one of the police officers was reminding children about, these are my safe spaces, you don't touch me there, different things like that. But on a national level, what is being done in terms of preventative measures by the authority?
All right. Now, in terms of preventative measures, I spoke about the interactions with the schools and so forth, but it will go a bit deeper than that. We do pamphlets, we do radio programs. Well, I'm clearly here with you now, so we try to do a lot of outreach to teach persons how to prevent issues from taking place. All right, so we work along with the Ministry of Education and Social Development, Ministry of Health a lot, to have conversations with parents as well as children, for them to understand what is necessary, and we use the police a lot to help us do that. Um, what is necessary to protect yourself in terms of where to go, who to walk with, what not to do, who not to be around, what to be suspicious of, where person should touch you or shouldn't touch you, safe spaces, your own personal space. Um, we go as far as, along with the Ministry of Health, teaching persons sex and sexuality. Obviously, based on the age, we will use different languages for them. So as we would mention to the younger ones, good touch, bad touch. If you're feeling unsafe, who to go to, which are your safe areas and so forth. So we tend to do that on that micro and macro level to help our children. No, children will be children, they'll be inquisitive. So supervision is very, very important, not just in the home, but in the church, in the community centers. Even when we have young ones, say we have a Taught has his kiddies concert in Grandand, and so forth. When the children go to use the restroom, is there a responsible adult going with them, accompanying them to make sure that they're safe in those public spaces? Because, like it or not, we have pedophiles in society. We have, and it's not just males, we have females as well. People tend to think it's only males that abuse children. No, a lot of females abuse children as well. So we have to look out for that. You have to make sure that and try your best to be present in your child's life and structure that in such a way that you can give them that information that they need. As parents, if you don't have that information, you could come to us, or you can visit our website. You can visit our Facebook page, and you will get information as we go along. And as we do that, we hope to expand what we do as well. And it will take a little while, Kirk, because, like it or not, sometimes the bureaucracy of things within our nation sometimes drags its feet. But we're trying to ramp up as much as possible. And you will hear a lot more of the Child Protection Authority as the months go along and as this year go along, in terms of helping to protect our
I know
children.
one of the things that frustrates me is the court system and the length of time that it takes for even some of these cases to be heard. I know an instance where a child was molested, And it took sometimes 4 or 5 years before it even reaches in court, and by that time, that child has dealt with this thing. This child is more aware of what's happening. This child is more aware of what shame is. Child often recants because they're embarrassed. Now they understand embarrassment. They don't want people to know. I'm sure it can be frustrating. So I want to address some of the challenges that you guys face. If you'd want to share some of the challenges that you face as an authority.
Well, within the court system, yes, I mean, well, everybody who goes to court realize how sometimes the court system seems to be the dragging sometimes, or dragging along a case sometimes. Um, but I think what needs to we need to look at very deeply in Grenada is having family courts. We don't have a dedicated family court of family judges just dealing with family issues, or as we would put it, family problems. So what our magistrates and our judges are faced with presently is to have different days for different matters. So there's a family day, there's a maintenance day, there's a juvenile day, and then there's a traffic day. And other than those days, there are criminal days that they have to deal with. And because of that, sometimes we have a matter once every 2 or 3 months because of the amount of different matters they have to deal with. And once a matter is investigated by the police and child protection and it goes to court, I think that's where people have a lot of issues. So let me kind of break it down quickly. So when they go to court, the matter is investigated by the police. Our case file is done. Statements are taken by different persons. Once that case file is put together, it is given a court date by the magistrate and by the authorities. And once that is done, then we have to go to court. So when we get to court, if the defendant in the matter does not have a lawyer, for justice to be served, that individual have to be given time to get a lawyer. So that could be pushed back for 3 months. So because the next matter might be heard in the next 2 to 3 months, the next date. So say they come with the lawyer say they need discovery because they have to get a copy of all the information that the prosecution has. So we have to give them all of that. So once they get a copy of that, they have to get time to review it. So that's the next 3 months, sometimes 2 to 3 months. So that's 6 months already. And then when that comes back up, say the lawyer is in another court, so they ask for the matter to be either stood down or given another date. So even if that date is a month or 2 months, that's 6 plus 2 is 8 months already. So sometimes the court system is a bit frustrating because of the process that it has to go through. But we can eliminate a lot of that by having dedicated courts, and especially for our children and our families, family courts that would just deal with family issues. And in terms of those kind of issues, that would speed up the process and speed up justice for our children and families. So I think that is
I've got
can be
to
solved
ask
by
a
just doing
question.
that.
How do our current laws affect your ability to protect children?
Well, Child Protection Authority, our laws have a lot of teeth. The issues about what has to come along with that is the resources to get a lot of things done. All right. So within our residential care, investigative department, alternative care department, so we have quite a few departments. So we have maybe about 60 or 70 persons. So people may say, oh, the authority is big. But when we take out our residential care homes, which need staffing, we're taking out about 20 to 25, almost 30 people there already. All right. So say you take out 25 people to 30 people, you're left with 40. and that's inclusive of administration, the managers, the HR department, the finance department. So you're taking out the next 15 persons there already. And then you have the alternative care team, the investigative team. So you see, once you start drilling down, you realize there's not a lot of persons be able to cover our trial and state. So resources in terms of personnel are needed. In terms of we're a statutory body, so we need subvention from the government, right? So finances just to run the homes, to run the authority, um, all those things are needed. Space to do the job that we need. Making sure that the way the councils have to use is adequate enough. Um, the spaces have to be child friendly. Um, and where we are housing our children should be off the radar as much as possible, but adequate so that the time they spend there can be remedial in such a way that when they return back to their homes or society, that they are reformed, they're in a better place in terms of their mental health, in terms of the physical well-being, and so forth. So it takes a lot to run the authority to get things done, and it will cost a lot. All right, and to me, it's an investment that is worth it. And we asking, and I would always say, once our stakeholders are willing to work with us, we'll try our best because we can't do it alone. But in terms of donations and so forth, we welcome it because whatever we can use to help our children, whether it's tangible or not, we will welcome it once it's positive. So these are some of the issues we are having in terms of getting things done. I have to say, as CP turns 15, because the authority is quite young, as we return 15, we realize that where we started to where we are now, we have improved quite a bit. But we have a long way to go, and we need everybody to be on board to get it done. We can't do it alone. So we need the resources, both tangible and otherwise. And to do that, Kirk, we have to pray, and sometimes we have to lean on the government for more and more assistance. They have improved in terms of the assistance that they give in terms of helping us, in terms of um, putting us not leaving us on the back burner, but putting us up front to help our children. And the prime minister, the permanent secretaries, and them, I have to say hats off to them for the work that they are doing. We want them to do more, but as I often say, it's not just the Child Protection Authority that needs money and resources. Other department need it as well. So we understand, but we are still pushing to get as much as we can get to help our
Okay,
children and their
definitely.
families.
You mentioned mental health, and I have to ask you because, as a survivor of child sexual abuse, um, it angers me. So I have to ask about your mental health. Sometimes I see these things go to the court system, and these perpetrators get a slap on the wrist. And to me, I don't think people understand the prolonged damage of this type of abuse. You're abused as a child, you become a broken citizen, you become a broken husband, you become a broken wife. You are broken. It is permanent damage of an individual for the rest of their life. And I have to ask it because I know when I'm sitting on the sideline and I'm watching the news or I'm hearing something and I'm hearing the slap on the wrist that somebody who just practically took a child's life away from them, took their youth away from them, and I see them get a slap on the wrist, I get angry and it affects my mental health. How do you guys deal with that? And can we talk more about that? How do you feel when you know all the work you're doing? You're trying to protect this child. This child has been violated, and then you see the perpetrator get a slap on the wrist. You tell me I could ask you anything. I'm asking you.
Of course, and it hurts. It hurts. You would hear the caseworkers speak about it. It hurts a lot. Not just for ourselves, but especially for the children, knowing that sometimes, based on the evidence, sometimes it's not strong enough, or even if it's strong enough, based on the circumstances, the individual may not get 15, 20 years. They may get 4 or 5 years based on the age, based on if it's their first offense. So there's a lot of precedents within the law system that we often have to deal with. But in terms of the mental health of the children, that's an issue, and we try to prepare them to tell them, look, when you go to court, these are the possible outcomes. Because it's not good to give people, especially children, hope that, look, the man will go away for the rest of their life, and sometimes it doesn't happen. All right, so we try especially our counselors, we try to prepare them, the other officers of the court who assist us, the prosecution department, in terms of prepping the children. We do our best with that as well. The staff of the authority, we have the briefing sessions. We make avenues where our staff can see counselors, both within and on the outside of the authority, to have those debriefing sessions done, because our mental health is sometimes strained. Because sometimes we have one officer who has 40, 50, sometimes 60 cases, active cases. So that alone takes a toll on the individual. And I have to say hats off to my colleagues for the tremendous work that they do. It's sometimes, based on what I'm telling you here now, it seems like you're surprised that one person have all those cases. Yeah. So within the authority now, if I'm not mistaken, we maybe have around 600 to 700 active cases within our trial and state. So just put that into perspective in terms of an individual have to deal with those issues. So we have remedial sessions that we do with our staff. We tend to have other activities for the independence. We had a little oil competition. So just different things to try to lighten the thought process and not to have them bogged down too much with just work and dead. We want to enhance the whole experience within the authority, so not just to work, but to have a holistic view of life and have social activities as well. We have a social club. We have different trainings to help persons deal with the issues of the mental health the negative mental health that may come up. And it's daunting, it's stressful, it's a very high stress environment. It is not for everybody. Just like the police force and nursing is not for everybody, social work on a whole is not for everybody. You have to be very empathetic. You have to have a strong stomach. Sometimes you have to go without eating for umpteen hours, just to make sure that our children and their families are safe. We put ourselves in different forms and different dangers just to do so. So it's a mental health gymnastics that we have to get under control, and we are trying from our end. But once we work along with our stakeholders and the public is willing to assist us in getting our job done, it will lighten the load a bit. So that's why we form on preventative measures. So the less cases we have coming in, the less cases our officers will have to deal with, so that we can concentrate on the very tough cases in a manner that we can spend more time on it and have it dealt with, and have those individuals worked with, in terms of instead of we having to do 40, 50 cases per person. I hope that kind of answers your question.
My next question was about statistics. It was asking you if you're seeing an increase or a decrease. I mean, to say one case alone is more than enough. But you just mentioned to me that you currently have over 600 cases, and those are the reported cases, which saddens me. Okay, and I know it's a fantastic Friday, but it changed my entire mood in hearing you say to me, number one, your caseworkers are overloaded. So I hope that you guys are prioritizing your mental health, and you said you're doing stuff for your staff. And I think often us as members of the public, we are quick to judge because, like me, we want to see these things handled, and we want to see these people put away. And all of us, we genuinely love children. But Adrian, this is, I don't even know how to say it. This is frightening. And I ask you, are the numbers increasing? Adrian, I don't even know where to go with this. That I expect you to tell me 50. You're telling me 600 active cases right now?
Yes, it's around that. Let me put it like this. We have fluctuations in terms of the amount, but generally that's the area we are in presently. It could be a bit higher. Let me put it like, I have to say it like this because I have to be blunt. Look at it. It's a problem. It's issue in terms of not just for us as the authority members having to deal with something like that, but we have to say that it's a problem for the nation to know that we have so much active cases. And that's why I speak about the preventative measures, the remedial work to be done, the courts. If we could get a family court organizing Grenada, just judges or magistrates just dealing with family cases to get the issues out of court as quick as possible. But the preventative measures have to start in the household. So we have a strong campaign going forward in terms of dealing with stuff like that to get it.
Before we take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be wrapping up with Adrian. You're tuned into the Wake Up Club. He seems to be having a little technical difficulties, but we're almost out of time. But we take a quick break and we see if we can get him back on.
Every time I pause, you're teasing me. Every time I pause.
The Grenada National Folk Group, in collaboration with the Ministry of Tourism, Creative Economy and Culture, proudly presents Iconic Moves and Melodies.
Yes, man.
Iconic Moves and Melodies. A heartfelt tribute to the legendary Miss Shirley Robinson. Mark your calendar. Saturday, March 1st, 2025 at the Grenada Trade Center, starting at 5 p.m. Immerse yourself in an evening of vibrant folk songs, classical songs, Negro spirituals, patriotic songs, captivating poetry, and mesmerizing dance performances as we honor Miss Shirley Robinson, a true pioneer of Grenada's cultural heritage. You'll also get the chance to have a meet and greet with Miss Shirley Robinson. Tickets are just $50 for adults and $25 for children. Iconic Moves and Melodies, a celebration you don't want to miss. Join us Saturday, March 1st at the Grenada Trade Center. Let's honor the legacy, celebrate the culture, and make it a
Welcome back, folk. Of course, we've been chatting with Adrian Harford, Senior of the Child Protection Authority of Grenada. I'm not sure we have Adrian back, but we're almost out of time. And, interesting conversation. I'm glad, you guys have joined us this morning. I'm really happy for the input. I think through the conversation, we have a better understanding of the work of the Child Protection Authority. We also understand how critical this issue is, and we need to be addressing it. Over 600 cases is too many cases. One case is too much. And as a survivor myself, I am angered. I am also, how do I want to say it? I'm also happy that I know that the Child Protection Authority of Grenada, they're doing all they can do to protect our children. And yes, they speak about limited resources. They speak about being overworked, and we understand all of that, and Adrian spoke of the need for a family court. So a lot of these issues can be prioritized. Adrian, you're back. You hearing me? Adrian? It doesn't seem like we have him back. But folk, it's a fantastic Friday. I know we're leaving a conversation that isn't happy and cheery, but we can take solace in knowing that there is an authority out there doing the best that they can do to protect our children here in Grenada. I want to thank you for joining us on the Wake Up Club. I want to thank you for keeping it on the Ride Along Network. We appreciate you. As I always say, if there's somebody or a topic that you'd like us to discuss on the Wake Up Club, please send me a note, send us a message, and we'll be happy to share and to reach out to somebody so we can get clarity and we can discuss some of these issues. I want to thank you again. Have a fantastic Friday. Love you guys. Have a good one. Bye.
Are you a progressive young leader, a proactive emerging executive, a rising professional? Then you need appropriate cover for your vehicle. Introducing the Pro Motor Plan from Beacon. Car insurance that includes free loss of use, windscreen cover up to $3,500, free special perils, free accident forgiveness. Get Beacon's Pro Motor Plan today. Don't procrastinate. Call Beacon today at 440-4447.
Looking for the ultimate island experience? Hop on the Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tour and explore Grenada like never before. Feel the tropical breeze, sip on authentic Caribbean rum punch, and cruise through Grenada's stunning scenery in our unique and fun tuk-tuks. It's the perfect blend of adventure and island flavor. Book your unforgettable tour now at ride.gd or call 473-422-1011. Don't just see Grenada, experience it with Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tours today.